Welcome in the sum-up video after E3 2014. My name is Gabriel and this is my channel. I do play games sometimes here, and since we are already after the big event, the E3, the holiday of gaming, as some people might call it, I decided to share my thoughts over this year's edition of the Electronic Entertainment Expo. So you might expect 3 videos. The first one will cover E3 in general, second one will be of course about the games, and the third one I might throw something extra. What's this E3? I believe this one was kind of like a model for every E3 I would like to see, which means obviously I am very excited about this great holiday, because it's hard to call it otherwise. You know, usually we get a 1, 2, 3 announcements of big titles and interesting games for a month. Some trailers, some promotional materials, and E3 is just like they packed all of this in one place, and it's very easy and convenient to basically travel and through the internet and see all that. Not to mention that hundreds of people are coming there to LA to see all of this. And why I believe this E3 was the modeled one, because it was all about the games. This time there was no new hardware. As far as I can see, Microsoft and Sony presented their conference at the last E3, their big consoles. So no one was really interested in Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as a new gimmick and gadget, because there's a big chunk of people, some few million people who already own the consoles. So what they are interested now is what they will be playing on the consoles. On the other hand, another thing is those big publishers, those big system owners, as we might call them, they finally stopped bringing shitty games. I don't know, there was this one called Sons of Rome, I believe, or something like that. I don't even remember the title very well. Last year, one of the first titles for Xbox, which just was such a piece of crap. This game was a piece of crap. Everyone told us that. Not only by the looks of it, but the gameplay of it, the story in it, it was basically a piece of shit. And you know, I can quite think that on PlayStation 4 you can also find those types of games. You know, games that don't actually take the computing power out of the consoles and transform them with algorithms and systems to a fun experience to play. Because those types of games are actually created later, are created when the developers finally understand the consoles, understand their limitations, and are able to push the boundaries to the limits. And that's what we actually saw in the passing week. We saw a shit ton of games. Really, there was a amount of games. I think it was mind-blowing actually. And I'm talking about all of them. I'm talking about Sims 4, about RPGs, which obviously are my top interesting games, about strategy games, about some games that were shown and basically are A titles, action games. I'm quite sure there's also a lot of very interesting looking racing games. You know, all of these are games that will be played on the new generation of consoles, and they will bring out of this generation what this generation was all about. Stunning gameplay experience. Now, first of all, I am not really that interested in the consoles themselves, because I don't own a console, but it's basically just you know, we have to understand, and this is also directed at, I believe, many PC gamers. Consoles are an integral part of this industry, and as much as the PC was always the forefront, and I think it will still be, of new ideas, of indie sphere, of basically all the more innovative approach to gaming, the consoles will adopt that and they will transform that to a wider audience. So we have to think and understand that this is also here. This E3's press conferences, the ones that I saw, were looking quite promising. It was like, let's say, 4 minutes for one game, 4 minutes for another game, 4 minutes for a next game, 3 minutes and 4 minutes and 3 minutes, and it was game after game after game. The CEO comes out, says what he wants to say, and then we have the developer, then we have the trailer, then we have the gameplay demo, then we have an announcement video, then we have this and that, and basically that was a constant flow of announcement and presentations. Some say that this E3 was not really anything mind-blowing in the sense that we haven't seen anything stunning. Oculus Rift was there, the virtual reality headset for Sony was there, Project Morpheus, what else? And basically, you know, both of these things we do know. There was no big technology somewhere. And it seems also that Sony dominates the scene. PlayStation 4 is outselling Xbox. Microsoft is doing again what everyone wanted them to do. They are removing the Kinect, which absolutely is a perfect business idea because it will remove, it will add to the console power of Xbox One. It seems, and it's a good pull from a marketing perspective. It's also good because you know, the lower the price, the more people will buy. When it comes to the games, most of the things that were shown are truly looking. It is looking like they are bringing another layer, or I should rather say they are eliminating another level, or rather I should say another border that limited them and up till this year. It was a limitation that basically started to show when Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 got to this moment when the computing power was not able to handle anything else. And these consoles and the gameplay sections that they allowed to show, everything basically going open world, all that stuff. This basically, you know, nails down the quality of next gen gaming, which will be usually a free to explore big open world, which plays a little bit like Skyrim, but on a bigger scale. You know, Skyrim, as much as the game is stunning and beautiful and rewarding and free and impressive, obviously, especially if you play it on a computer with some modifications you install, it's just looking great. It's a little bit, I won't say boring, but at some moment when you play, it becomes kind of repetitive. Kind of, well, every game will sooner or later become repetitive, but it becomes kind of a known quantity. And the games that they showed, Witcher 3, Dragon Age 3, sorry, not 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, obviously, Free Roam in a lot of other games, Destiny, I believe also, they have this, they're trying to expand this feel to basically a limitless area in the game, and a lot of games are doing this. If that succeeds, that will be the next gen gaming. And as much as this E3 might have been boring because there was no big news, like something that, you know, every other media will be talking about for years to come. The last year Oculus Rift was something like this, right? Everyone was mind blown and stunned by the motion sickness that everyone had when they tried the thing. What is the most and you know, this E3 doesn't have such a example, such an iconic piece of technology, which from my perspective might be even better, because that means we're going back to hardcore gaming, to this how to say it, this little piece of the world that we gamers love, and it seems that the developers also understood that. So this E3 was, from my perspective, a very model one. It was like, this is how E3 should look like. Games, 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 once again, games, 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 and nothing else actually matters. Two things before I finish. First, be aware that as much as I know, most of the non-exclusive titles for PlayStation 3 and for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, most of the titles, and let's say most of the multi-platform titles were played on the PC. So if you believe that a game you saw was played on a console, sometimes I believe it was not. So I fear that we will see in the upcoming months and years, especially 2015, because it seems a lot of games are pushed to 2015, I fear that we'll see more of the Watch Dogs syndrome happening, you know? They will be showing that, look, this is the footage from E3 and this is from the actual game that I bought. This doesn't measure up to each other, because the first one was usually played on a massive rig, on a not optimized game. E3 stuns us, but remember, this is the show, is basically to impress. It was created to impress. And when the game comes out, you have, I won't say lower your expectations, but think about what actually is going on. Try to critically see that the game, as much as fun it is, it will not exactly be what you see. And the second thing is, finally the press conferences were not a stunning, well, they were all stunning, but there was no Konami. You know what I mean? Konami from 2 or 3 years back. There was no celebrities on the stage. There was no rappers on the stage. Most of the stuff that we saw was pure quality, even from a marketing and PR perspective. And I studied a little bit of PR in my during my studies, so I do know what I'm talking about. So basically, that's how E3 should look like, I think. No muchachos and other wrestlers on the stage, or people running around with supposedly laser guns, things like that. You know, there were controversies like that in the previous years. Just focus on the games, developers, focus on the games, publishers, and everything is fine then, and everything's alright. Thank you for listening to this little piece of material I prepared for you, and I hope we'll see you next time when I'll be talking about RPGs, and which are my favorite games. This might even take longer, I think. That would be, yeah, Witcher 3. That's a must-be. Dragon Age Inquisition. That's 2. And there are at least 2 other games that I think I should cover a little bit. So, thank you for watching. As always, my name is Gabriel, and it was a pleasure to host you here.